Wally. Benji, help. They're quickly moving down the far sideline. They take it around to Lewis, who immediately swings to Wally. Oh! And a second effort, almost a catch by Lewis, but as his hand hits the ground, the disc leaves his hand once more. And that was a great block by Czech defense. Stropnicki slowly walking to the disc, gets a big forehand, but Nicholson gets the disc right back for New Zealand. As it is quite usual in this U20 Open division, the team so far opting for tight match D.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of zone out of the under-17s, but as you say, under-20, seeing a lot more teams go with just go one-on-one defensively, as there's a pick, which is one of kind of those side effects that you get a lot of the time when you come out with a match defensive look.
So the disc will go back to Jack Lewis. Born in Auckland, but currently lives in Christchurch. He has the disc again in the center of the field. Czechs doing a good job preventing downfield options. And this is a high disc, will have to be chased down. Nicholson comes down with it. Cooper now. Another call stops the play.
Guys, can you clear out in front of us, please, so we can get a look? Thank you. You mentioned Daniel Nicholson, one of the siblings on this team, along with his twin brother Sean. We've seen that they've also got a lot of these players have siblings on the under-20 women's side as well.
Disc is back in play. This is a nice gainer from Stevenson. He gets slow, but takes the reset. The handler set now working together to get the disc moving quickly. Cooper for the give and go. Volley. Caleb Milner now looking for options. New Zealand forced backwards. We know that New Zealand is not afraid to take a lot of passes to wait for the perfect option.
Yeah, this is good red zone defense as well from the Czechs, consistently forcing the Kartipo to reset.
And here is the interception. That was Hubac with the D, and they immediately put it deep. The disc is hanging. Incredible. Kupacek is underneath, and he is in the red zone for Czechs. Can they put another break on the scoreboard? They take a timeout immediately. Ludwig signals the little T with the disc.
This is not the start that New Zealand would have wanted. They know how important this game can be. In the U20 Open Division, 12 teams, so 2 pools of 6. In the top 2 in each pool go through to the top power pools, giving yourself the best chance of qualifying for the finals. And it feels like it might come down to New Zealand versus Italy later today as to who gets the second spot in this pool behind Canada. But if New Zealand slip up to the Czech Republic here, that could all be for naught.
Oh. Interesting. If you want to check out the results yourself and hold Benji to his word, you can just click the link in the description of the video. WJUC.sport is the address, the go-to place for all the live information from the tournament, including spirit scores. But as the teams huddle up, we're going to take a short break in the commentary booth ourselves.
The ultimate things in life are free, and we're keeping it that way. Subscribe to keep up with the latest games, tournaments and community content. Share it with your team and friends and drop a like to help spread Ultimate to more people. Spread the word, spread the love. LT.TV.
Welcome back after the timeout. Czechs are 1 up over New Zealand and now are looking to add a second break. New Zealand spent about 10 minutes trying to take the disc to the end zone. There was some very patient handling going on, but eventually Czechs managed to get the disc and moved it quickly with a deep pass all the way to the other side of the field. Stropnický goes sideways to Kupeček, and Kupeček into the end zone for a contested grab, second chance. Nothing there, and the Czechs find themselves back on defense.
Curse of the turnout strikes the Czechs. You can see that throw's rising. Nicholson gets a lot of pressure underneath it. That's Daniel Nicholson as opposed to his twin brother Sean. And it goes to ground, so New Zealand will get another opportunity here.
Lewis with the pickup. And that will be called a foul. A little discussion between Vali and Hubac. Hubac being the one who got the last D in the point. It seems like it will be an accepted foul and New Zealand retain possession. No deep shot. They go backwards, putting themselves back in their own end zone. Josh Cooper now. Again with the reset. We hear the Czech coaches with clear instructions of not letting the New Zealand for any unders, and I was prevented from seeing that turnover by sideline players. Actually, it's the crossing GB team, but it seems like the Czechs have gotten the disc. Still in the red zone. Sobotka picks up, and that's a score for the Czech Republic. Matěj Ludvík finds himself open right behind the end zone line, and they go up 2-0.
It's really interesting to me, the differences between the New Zealand Open and the way they play and the way their women's side played yesterday, where their women, they came down, zone defenses pretty much the majority of the game, and they tried to put it deep at every opportunity, whereas the New Zealand Open side, they're playing match defense and they're trying to be a bit more, a bit tighter and crisper with working the underneath passes, and so far it hasn't really been working for them. The Czechs clearly feel like they've come out to this game with a point to prove. No shrinking violets for them. Interestingly, a lot of this Czech team, not just under 20, but would also be eligible for the under 17 age bracket. It's just a question of not really having enough players to put two teams in. So a lot of these players, come the next WJUC in a couple of years' time, still be able to represent there. The player who caught the goal there, Matěj Ludvík, is one of those at just 15 years old.
It's just incredibly impressive. We have some teams around the Czech Republic which have a rather regional occurrence, should I say, but they have been doing a great job with their juniors, sort of gelling well with their experienced counterparts, who then collect more experience with some of the teams that compete internationally out of the Czech Republic. So teams such as Písek or Chlupatá Žába are big contributors to this under 20 open team.
So thinking about the Czech sides internationally, as in the club sides that kind of make the gap to make the leap to that international competition, in the open division, I think probably primarily of Foy,
which will be competing in the European Series this year under the name of 3SB.
And yeah, for the women's side, 3SB have been a fixture at the top of European Ultimate for a number of years now, although they won't be at EUCF, it'll be East Block instead.
You wish, Benji. Nah, it's going to be all of us.
All of you, excellent, very much.
Hopefully. Obviously, the European series final still to be decided in the women's division, as there have been some struggles getting the regional qualifiers going. If you do have any insider information about New Zealand Ultimate, please let us know in the chat so that we can highlight the developments there as well. But here is New Zealand one more time underway, trying to put a first one on the scoreboard. Ellington. Douglas forced to go sideways. Swinson now with a big gainer. Hugo Swinson has been huge in the last game that we streamed for New Zealand.
Yeah, and his sister Tessa, who also wears the number 38 for the New Zealand women's side, had a very good game yesterday as well.
Douglas happily taking the bumps on the mark from Bohdal. Deep shot goes up for New Zealand. Two tall players underneath. Oh, and it is wobbled and collected immediately by the Czechs. They waste no time.
I like that the backup was there just to snaffle it away, make sure that there's no opportunity of the second effort grab. And again, as you mentioned, it gets their offense in motion quickly.
This is great stuff, but that last one was an overthrow too far for Bohdal. He reaches out, but instead he's going to have to mark again, or not, as it will be Swinson with the pickup. There is Nicholson. Goes back to Swinson. Swinson gets the upline cut. But they make sure that there's no continuation. Again, New Zealand with that patient end zone offense. This time they reel it in, and that's a first point for New Zealand. They stay tight in this game and let their D-line work the wonders now.
Yeah, you wonder if it's just a question of getting that offense settled down a little bit. You could see that, okay, the undergame didn't work, so they tried the deep shots, and that didn't come off either. But they earned the disc back and then just go back to the fundamentals, playing it calm and composed around the end zone, utilising those break side swings nicely.
Here's Nicholson with that lefty forehand towards the middle of the pitch. Finds Hayes, and Hayes just casually pops it in for Walker. Walker also based in Christchurch. Played for the Shirley boys in high school as well as the Canterbury University.
Yeah, there's a lot of... There's some certain ultimate hotbeds in this team. You've mentioned Christchurch. Jack Lewis, Hugo Swinson, Jacob Woodward and Noah Hayes all attended Auckland Grammar School, which is apparently a powerhouse in New Zealand's schoolboy ultimate, according to head coach Warren Buckingham, who is also head coach here. And yeah, we mentioned that 4 players come from the small town on the North Island of Kati, which has a population of 5,000 and is also the avocado capital of New Zealand, apparently, and home to Richard O'Brien, he of Rocky Horror Show fame.
And we see New Zealand come out with a zone for the first time, trying to startle the Czech offense, which is currently deep, deep in their own end zone.
You're seeing the value of those strong pulls, especially when you can then set up a stifling zone defense.
Riley and Minotik in the back now. Still making not too much progress. They'll need to get the reset. Wide open receivers behind the first cup. They just need to get it there, and that's a big hammer that's hanging, and it will be ripped out of the sky by Cooper.
Yeah, Josh Cooper caught a Callahan against Canada. This one's not in the end zone, but New Zealand quickly worked their way in there, finding Daniel Nicholson for the 2-2 scoreline. Yeah, New Zealand Open got a Callahan in the first game we streamed on Sunday morning. Their women's side managed it again yesterday, and they were on the hunt for it there. Czechs did the right thing with everything getting compressed, trying to stretch the field a little bit, but you could see that hammer helix and spin backwards.
I would love to see the Czechs recognize the opportunity, the space behind the first cup a little earlier, but it will be difficult to put something there. New Zealand definitely well off, I should say, with their height advantage. So you either need to put something there that's gonna just get there really quickly, or else it will need to be to a spot where the defender, where your player has a better chance on that disc than the defender. In any case, I love the description of another fun fact about Daniel Nicholson. He put, "I am a fun and outgoing guy who is friendly."
It was like
love to hear that.
Putting it out there, like I am fun and I am friendly. I will enjoy myself.
One more pull by New Zealand. This one sails out of bounds. Photographer being all helpful. And New Zealand seem to be setting up in that zone once more.
Yeah, then Kiwis still need to break again to bring the game back on serve.
The Czechs now spreading out slightly better. Zaluski goes backwards. They swing it to Hlubocki on the sideline. Zaluski again short on options, but manages to get the swing off. Petričák now the captain. And a great teammate of mine as well. Big swings. Can the Czechs keep focus on every catch? Try to get one up the line. We've seen that crushing of the cup as well as some creative throws are the answers to the New Zealand zone. Great concentrated grab by Minařík, and the Czechs now move quickly towards the end zone, and that's a score by Hlubocki. They figure out this New Zealand zone quite quickly, and that is lucky for you and lucky for them, because that means we might have a tight match.
Yeah, that time it feels like they learned their lessons from the previous point, and they were a bit more aggressive in some of those options a bit earlier. We've seen so many teams get bogged down versus those zones. But the Czechs there, they were happy to hit the overheads and be a bit more expansive in the play style. There's the blade, which just evades the hands of Noah Hayes.
So Minařík with that collection of the huge hammer. He will not forgive me unless I mention his home team. Just out of Brno is the Kapři Ultimate. They are doing quite well. One of his teammates, Karin, is on the Slovakian under-20 mixed team, who will be featured on the stream later today.
It says he's done a foot block on the best player in Czech Ultimate.
Who might that be?
Did he foot block you?
Can't remember that one.
I mean, we are big fans of a foot block here, so any footage of foot blocks we find, we'll see if we can get them shared on the Instagram reels.
So Czechs still one break up over New Zealand.
Ulti.tv on Instagram, by the way, putting out some fire content. I believe that's what the kids say.
New Zealand looking for the defense. They get it with a nice leading backhand pass. Big fake out of Sam Cooper. He's the lefty on this New Zealand offensive line. Volley. Down the sideline to Stevenson.
Stevenson just overshoots. Interestingly, Stevenson, you can see there, he's recognisable because he's got those kind of that compression sleeve on his left calf and a rather ungainly knee brace, which at under 20s, I must admit, always slightly concerning.
And here is Levi Crossan. One of the two boys who come from mixed marriages between a Czech and an American, I believe. If I'm mispronouncing his name, then I don't know. I don't know anymore. I give up.
I'll let you off.
I think there is a little discussion about whether Bohdal was out on that call on the far sideline. You can check out the replay, it will be again a discussion about which body part of Bohdal landed first. We have some players gathering up in front of our screen, placed in the commentary booth.
I think that left knee lands fast, and it looks to me like it lands in.
Nonetheless, the players do not have game advisors at this tournament, so a contested out call will take the disc back to Crossan. They center to Bohdal. He's now looking for the reset. Gets it. Big gainer, so much pressure. But it is Lepší who keeps possession, but that next pass will be prevented. That catch from Lepší is surely making it to the highlights. Another one coming from a smaller ultimate club in the Czech Republic. Atrofované ruce. Lewis. Centers. Big sideways throw to Caleb Milne, who apparently is one of the youth coordinators for Canterbury Ultimate.
Is indeed.
New Zealand now knocking on the doorstep, but that's another overthrow into the end zone. Two receivers were sort of open, but that throw wasn't really aiming in the trajectory of either of them.
The end zone opens has been strangely sloppy for the Kartipol. I feel that that's 3 or 4 short field turnovers already. It's just, yeah, for whatever reason, they look slightly discombobulated out there.
And another huge deep shot. Players are running it down. And it's knocked away after all, as it makes its way all the way to the end zone.
Yeah, I think it's Braden Jones, actually, who tracks this well. Feels like maybe there's 2 underneath, but he sees that the disc is just going to tail off towards this near sideline.
Yeah,
and he gets his body in position.
Fickel head separation, but like you said, the New Zealand defender does get into position earlier than him and just makes sure that that disc is knocked to the ground. Here's New Zealand one more time. Milne tries to reset. Lewis doesn't run it down. Czechs. Stop the play. Looks like a pick call.
A little bit of discussion here.
So Crossan keeps the disc, that's for sure. But I think the players are trying to agree where they're going to start once the disc is tapped back into play. No language barriers there, because the one person on the Czech side involved in the discussion is Tim Riley. No struggle with English there. And now Crossan is getting involved as the spirit captain for the Czech side.
Generally, what's the level of English like on the Czech side?
I would say good. I'm always impressed with people being able to put together a sentence despite some of the terrible English teachers that I have seen throughout.
And English, of course, being a really stupid language at times.
Still a lot easier than Czech, but if you want to try, I strongly encourage you. It's really fun. And you might learn a word or two from the stream as well. Here is a big put into the end zone, collected. Is that Bohdal with the score? That was a huge layout. He spikes that disc. I'm going to slap him when he gets back. 3-2. No, it's 4-2 now for the Czechs. They add another break.
What a snatch that is. Someone's going to be getting maybe a round of Pivo this evening. Look at that. Disc checked in. Crossan sees the target, and it looks like it's going to be too far, but he tries to round the corner and he lays out for it. Superbly done by Bohdal.
I still remember Bohdal's first couple of practices when he came over to a 3SB club practice and was, despite his great athleticism, forced to train with the rookies, and he was just so annoyed. He was so ready to get on the big stage with the other men and boys on the 3SB team, and before he found his humbleness and humility, it took a little bit of time, but now he is making a name for himself on the big stage.
Yeah, a couple of his sporting heroes, some notable Czech players. Pavel Pelikan, who we've seen being formidable recently for Kuzla Fota, and Ondrej Rydlo, who praised for Prague's Terrible Monkeys and has a wealth of international experience for the Czechs as well.
So, despite the complicated performance for New Zealand so far, I still believe they are more than capable of keeping this game tight.
They've just lacked that sort of sharpness that we expect from them.
But an offensive hold would surely help at this stage. Czechs coming out with a bit of a junk D.
It wouldn't hurt at any rate.
A nice opening pass to the near sideline. Lawson trying to sneak behind the first cup. Swinson keeps looking. I really like the way he's examining the field in front of him, hoping that one of his players will eventually. Yeah, he's actually. That's Douglas now with a big put. Collected, but will be called out. That was not a bad look again, but just a little more precision on the execution needed on this New Zealand side.
Yeah, Ellington's trying to toe his way in on the near sideline, and on the far sideline, excuse me. And he's trying to keep that back foot down because he doesn't necessarily want to have to go for the full layout out the sideline. And I think actually, because where the disc ended up, maybe it should have been the greatest attempt. Although I appreciate that's a lot easier said than done.
Arnitsan puts up a big forehand. It's floating. The defender, I'm not sure if he got a hand on it, but it definitely slipped off the fingers of Hubac. And now New Zealand with a chance to move quickly before the Czech defense sets up again.
That's the thing about being a defender. You don't necessarily need to get hands on it as long as whoever's on offense doesn't keep it in their possession. Just don't need to get it. You just need to do enough.
I'm liking the work Swinson and Douglas are doing against the zone, especially. I feel like they're the ones who are choosing movement, which is always a better approach than the static one against whatever zone or poachy look you're facing. There's Douglas again. Goes back to Swinson, who swings to Walker. Loving the New Zealand jerseys, though, with the names so well visible for the commentators. Thank you. Keep it up, and other teams get inspired. Swinson fakes the hammer, doesn't take it.
Yeah,
violation.
I think the New Zealand jerseys are very stylish. Also, I must admit that I'm disappointed not to see the Czechs wearing the red and blue stripes, which might be some of my favourite jerseys in Ultimate.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not like it. We basically cancelled them because we didn't like them.
What? I'd do anything to get my hands on one of those. Not anything, obviously, but yeah. I've always liked them, and I say stripes, they're hoops, I guess, rather than stripes. But yeah, I've always wanted one of those jerseys.
Oh, and an interesting comment in the YouTube chat. Jackie Smith is saying, "Why is a clear zone called junk, and junk referred to as a zone?" Not sure if that's a northern hemisphere thing, Jackie. It might be that there's a wall of players in front of the commentators preventing us from seeing everyone on the field.
I think a lot of it is just kind of different parts of the world having different terminology for the same things.
Could be, could be. And this is what the international tournaments are for, so that we can discuss it. New Zealand still battling it out against the Czech zone/junk. Walker on the near sideline. You really don't want to stay near this sideline ideally, as the wind is currently blowing towards the camera. It's not too strong, but if you'll go for an overhead, you'll have to make sure there's a lot of spin on it.
I think that's the key always when there's that breeze, is generating the torque through the wrist and getting those revolutions.
New Zealand right now not looking anymore to get downfield involved. Nicholson still trying to do... Here is another defense. Was that Hrubač? He's been huge for this Czech D.
Sees that high release round the mark, but maybe Hrubač is just kind of shielded from the thrower's view there. And he lurks in there, and he gets a hand to knock it to the floor.
Stropnický puts up a deep shot. Oh, second effort for Hrubač. He gets it.
Just how they drew it up, I'm sure.
One more upline cut. Czechs nearing the end zone once more. And here's the upline cut. Will there be anyone else? Oh my God. That is Czechs with another break.
Trying to see exactly who that is with the reception. Might be Kupacek. Again, we've seen New Zealand on multiple occasions just come up wayward on some of these end zone shots. But the Czechs, even when it doesn't go to plan, they find ways to come up with it. You can see this just pops up, and I mean, Kupacek reads it well, but he's a big lad.
He is. His home team, Kachny Příbram, will be absolutely thrilled to see him excel on the world stage. His hobbies include fishing, playing the guitar, and many other sports like volleyball, box, whatever K1 is.
Canoeing, maybe? I don't know.
K1? Is it?
No, that's like kayaking. I don't know. To be fair, I'll be honest, I do not know. Kupacek's 6'3", and can see why he'd be a reliable end zone target. To be 6'3" in the under 20 age category is not a bad thing to have. Things to look out for, maybe skies. I mean, box ticked, I think.
Thank you so much for the excellent discussions and comments in the chat. Please make sure to hit the subscribe button both on the WFDF YouTube channel as well as the Alti TV one. That's where all the action is happening from JJUC this week. Under 17 games being played out on our Alti TV YouTube channel, and the WFDF being the host of the under 20 division. New Zealand goes with a hammer over the top. Jacob Woodward on the receiving end, but it goes back to the handlers. Again, that patient swinging from New Zealand. They do that so well. And they almost look like they can do it for ages, but
they're having the same problem that a lot of teams have had, in that there's no connection between what's going on between the handlers and the players downfield, and it means that the movement just goes laterally and backwards, and you're never actually gaining any field position. And eventually you kind of get frustrated, you get put in a scenario where you've got no choice but to punt it.
it's true that we almost never see the central handler trying to go for the upline cut continuation, of course, as I say that.
But generally, yeah, that's right on the sideline. I think that central handlers could be more aggressive in looking for those give-go motions.
Douglas now centers to Collins. Some of you fans in the YouTube chat calling for him to get on the line in this stream match. There he is again, and he knows what he's doing. That's a huge hammer for Cooper.
And that's, again, something that you love to see. A, because it breaks the zone open, and B, because big hammers like that, always cool. Just always. And
going downwind, again, that's a not easy crossfield throw to execute. He weighted that perfectly. Douglas. And it's going to look like the Czechs will transition. Spur. Back to Swinson. Swinson doesn't like the upline cut, takes the around. Douglas continues. And here is the pass into the end zone. Luke Spur with the score for New Zealand. They finally get through the tough Czech defense.
Yeah, Luke Spur's another one of the Kati contingent for the Kartipo, and there you see the hammer that really just unleashes the New Zealand offense. Gives them the short field, and they stay patient, and then this throw is just really well weighted. The defenders shielded out, and Luke Spur can take a trip to the dairy with the full fat milk into the end zone.
Well, someone in the chat is saying that Finn's dad throws way better hammers. But, you know, he's still got time. He can still learn.
Well, this is interesting because Finn said that his father, of course, introduced him to Ultimate, and the highlight of his career is becoming better than his dad.
That's lovely. Well, Luke Spur's ultimate sporting hero is Cristiano Ronaldo. And I believe that those quick feet that we saw on that last upline cut were very much showing that he's taken something out of Ronaldo's playbook. Czechs after quite some time on offense. Similar approach out of New Zealand. Trying to force difficult looks and crossfield throws with their zone. So far, nothing there. Just handler movement from the Czechs. They go for the over-the-top scoober. They wind up. Now that's a lovely hammer. Zaluski goes to Crossan. And a blady throw. They can definitely take these options. The weather currently very calm here on field 1. Czechs losing yards. Once more. Minatic now with a gainer through the first cup. No continuation though. Zaluski being guarded by Nicholson, but that's a slow disc, and defense gets there first. Milne immediately gets the disc moving the other way. Nicholson winds up for that end zone continuation, and that's a break for New Zealand. They respond in a spectacular and fast fashion.
That time doesn't really give the Czech defense a chance to set. And it was polished off so quickly there by the Kiwis. You look at it, you see that it's ripped away, and then they waste no time getting it moving quickly. Milne's being a big figure who's involved with that. Shout out to Jess as well, who's watching back in New Zealand.
We even have some Czech fans tuning in from New Zealand. How random is that? Not really. Lots of Czechs love to take a trip to New Zealand, be it just for summer holidays, to get a summer job and enjoy the beautiful nature and traveling around this exotic, for us, for the Czechs, this exotic country. So we would love to invite you to come over to the Czech Republic to hang out with us as well, if you fancy a trip.
I'm always down. You know me. It's so nice seeing the fans turning out. Both those who have made the trip here and those watching in the chats at home, it is, very wholesome and encouraging. Sweet.
So 5-4, currently the score in this tight under 20 open matchup between the Czech Republic and New Zealand. Czechs ready to receive the pole. Bit of confusion between Stropnicki and Staffel about who's going to receive the pole. Staffel now gets it from the middle, finds Petričák on the near sideline. Stropnicki centers. Lots of sideline instructions on where to position the players downfield. Czechs stuck in that coffin corner now, but they slice through. Find the continuation in the hands of Hlubotski. Hlubotski with a big throw, second effort chance. Petričák shows awareness. Czech not making too much progress.
Looking at this defense here for New Zealand, they've got 3 handler marking players up front, kind of 3 in the middle, and the long, lean figure of Collins marauding in the deep space as that knife over the top is reeled in by the Czechs.
Sobotka absolutely does not care about that catch, but conservation of greatness. That follow-up throw was just somewhere in between the 2 players that could have gotten there. That was a great, calm catch by Sobotka. Nicholson. Oh, sorry, Hodson. That's Hodson. To Nicholson in front of the end zone. Nicholson still on his knees, but the stall count doesn't stop, and that's a pop for the score. They all have mullets. Did I get the names completely wrong, Benji?
Right, I mean, I do not understand the trend of mullets. I'm just putting that out there.
We've been hating all them all week.
It's a young people
We're
thing.
We're just going to
guess.
continue. Well, I'm sorry, but there has been a couple of them featured at the European Masters Club Championship.
But that's a good adjustment there from Nicholson, or should that be Nicholson? Thank you. I'm here all week. And then just a simple pop in the end zone to the another bemulleted player in Ayrton Hodson to make it 5 apiece. So credit to New Zealand. After a rough start to this game, they've fought their way back to bring it level pegging at 5 apiece, and we have a timeout here on the field.
So we will leave you with a fun fact about Hodson. He says he's the man. He just goes on the field and wins. If anyone wants to sponsor a sprint car team, hit him up. Checking out for now is Rachel Tošnerová and Benji Rees. Stay tuned for more action after the timeout.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, UltimateTV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and
there's
beyond.
like 60 people watching on both. So I find it so you just like check it one each chat. I can also check the chat.
Right now, he's gonna have to bid.
But that,
football!
Huge layout block, unbelievable stuff on the front corner of the end zone.
Maybe just that boost of energy they needed.
Half of a game on our channel.
Huge swing pass and a great grab there from Spear.
No, that's not necessary. But then,
Welcome back after the timeout to this nail-biter of a game between New Zealand and Czech Republic in the under-20 men's category. We are at the Joint Junior Ultimate Championship. currently at the World Junior Ultimate Championship part of it, which features the under 20 divisions in all three, men's, women's, and mixed division. If you are watching still on our Alta TV channel, make sure to just get into the habit of watching the under 20 games at the WFDF one. Czechs have been able to score a couple of breaks so far on this New Zealand team, but the Kiwis are sticking close. In the meantime, on the pitch, an offside has been called.
Don't necessarily see that too often.
We've had one on the stream this week already, but like we said, more often than not, the offsides don't necessarily get used. In a sense, they happen, but
Teams
people
aren't
don't call
necessarily
them.
looking for them, yeah. But it's one of those things where it surprises me that the teams aren't more ready for this, because it should be a thing that you practice, you know, always practice those pulls and practice, you know, making sure that everyone's really, you know, crossing the line at full speed, getting down there as quickly as possible, learning the timing of, you know, of the pullers' movements and motions.
So it will be Levi Crossan who picks up the disc for Czechs and immediately goes backwards. This time they get moving and put up a huge forehand for Žižka.
Absolutely lasered that one.
Žižka right in front of the end zone, centers to Staffel. Staffel not afraid to lose yards, but we hear the coaches making their players be really aggressive. But was that a catch? That was incredible. Great grab by Minařík. He has made some great catches in this game, but that one, I really hope that we got a good shot of that.
Joking with what the chat coaches before the stream, which is, you know, like, oh yeah, we want some highlights. And I was telling them, make bad decisions and you'll get highlights, because generally if you make a catch like that, it's because you've put up a sketchy throw. But the picture was perfectly painted by Minařík on the reception.
Loving your r there.
I'm trying my best.
It's the only r that we have on this roster, so we might as well.
Here's the replay. Just fakes the swing one way, then t'other, and then eventually Zalewski just decides that why not, you know?
The disc was just waving in his hand, but he apparently, or like it was clear that he had possession. But I was about to say, we heard the sideline instruction from the coaches of be more aggressive and try to not go backwards anymore as we're so close to the end zone. Make yourself more dangerous. And that's just how they respond with a hammer. And in the meantime, some little birds are helping us with K1. Apparently that's a kickboxer organization.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
And that's a huge pull into the New Zealand end zone.
It took the New Zealand, the downfield offense, way too long to adjust, because that pull, as you mentioned, being caught in the end zone, and they're all setting up beyond the brick mark. You need to be able to adjust, because they were getting ready and getting set without looking how deep the pool was going to be.
And that's a lovely break side pass from the Kiwis. They made it through their out of their own end zone. And Hugo Swinson puts up a floaty forehand collected by Douglas, who continues down the line to Walker. They take it around once more. And that's a huge put. Riley's underneath as a defender, but who gets position? Lovely stuff. Walker with the sky in the end zone. Makes sure he boxes out Riley just in time to make that grab. And what a play by New Zealand.
I mean, phenomenal stuff. Is this the most open huck you've ever seen? No, not going to pretend that it is. Was the defensive pressure good? Yes, it was. Did Finn Walker posterise that guy? Also, yes. Finn Walker's another one of this contingent from Shirley High.
18 years of age. Has been playing for 4 years. He helps out with old high school team and some organization of tournaments as well. Great to see community contributions from these youngsters so early in their career.
So, games are 100 minutes in the under-20 divisions. So normally with a score cap of 15, normally you would have half at 8, but there is a half-time cap that goes on at 50 minutes. So I believe that makes this halves at 7 and Galaxy point.
Woo! Thanks, Benji. So everyone, tighten up your seat belts. Here is Galaxy point between New Zealand and the Czech Republic. Czech Republic starts on offense. They spread out wide, expecting that New Zealand zone look. Big forehand for the swing. Bohdal has magically found his voice on the sideline after losing it the first day.
So I've got some lozenges if you need them.
Benji's your go-to guy for sore throat.
I mean, trust me, I cannot get through weeks without them now.
Staffel with a nice crossfield throw to Zaluski, who goes backwards. Now this one's hanging, but well read by Staffel once more.
I mean, that was spicy in the extreme.
Oh, and another one for Staffel. He's getting huge in this point. Czechs now nearing the brick mark, closer to their zone. Sirens in the background.
I cannot see where exactly those are coming from.
It is a flat piece of land here at Pola Marszove, so the sounds spread out quite wide. And here is another break through the zone. This time, Shashek on the receiving end. Wind is picking up. And that's a turn and an interception by New Zealand. They have the chance to take the half. Collins.
I just heard a whistle go there, so I wonder if maybe our scoreboard clock was wrong, but I doubt it would be. I doubt it would be 5 minutes wrong.
Milne thinks about the inside. Instead goes to Collins. It's a chance for a breakthrough. They do take it to Daniel Nicholson. Centers with a lefty backhand. Nice try on defense, but that defensive layout was nowhere close, unfortunately, for the Czechs.
Yeah, Klubotski, well, I like the effort, was miles away.
Milne. Back to Collins. Finn Collins playing for Hammerton Ultimate. 17 years of age. Nicholson goes back to him with another centering pass, and that's a big forehand to the front of the end zone. Not quite in yet. New Zealand so close to potentially take the half, and there is a little bit of confusion with the last pass to Hudson. Seems like the disc will go back. Looks like a pick. Milne with a lot of fandom in the chat. out over the top of the marker, and that's a score and a break for New Zealand. And now the question is...
Yeah, so just double checking whether or not that halftime cap has come on. Certainly, it's a break for New Zealand. The first time they lead in this game, and the game is finally back on serve after they got broken on the game's first point.
It seems like both the players and the coaches are a bit confused as to whether this will be half or not. But
I think it looks to me like this is going to be the halftime cap, but maybe not.
So it seems like volunteers couldn't provide the advice either, but we believe this should be half.
Yeah, there are volunteers on each pitch keeping time limits.
In any case, it seems like the teams will quickly agree, and if this is indeed the case, and we are in half, we will have about 7 minutes of a break to recover ourselves from this exciting matchup that will continue in a little bit, and I really hope that we will see you for the second half in a couple of minutes. Checking out for now.
Bichon picks up, and they've got a short field. They've got another goal. It's tied up at 12. I cannot believe what I'm seeing
Can
here.
Lola Dam chase that one down? That is a score for Hartlinger Elferkel. Fantastic run by Julia Love.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge.
and we believe that that requires knocking down the paywall.
We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch, and we want them to go viral.
When you become a member, you enable us to improve our working relationships with tournament organisers, events and federations.
And you'll help us to produce live stories for Ultimate fans, and to generate new fans with our enhanced content.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts, and we want to bring you coverage on a more consistent basis. We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Ciao ragazzi, support the community.
And subscribe Ulti TV. There's lots of the videos, posting, everything. Check it out. They are the best one. Woo!
If you want to grow Ultimate Sports, become a member of Ulti TV.
Regardez Ulti TV. Deviens un membre d'Ulti TV et fais grandir ta communauté.
Top Ulti TV تلمه eroginkime Ultimate vendromena. Si quieres ayudar a Ulti TV, puedes ser miembro de Ulti TV.
Everyone, follow Ulti.tv on Instagram, on YouTube. They've got everything.
Best content.
Like their pictures if you love free speech. Just do it.
We're counting on you.
Bli medlem på Ulti TV.
Became member
of Ulti TV.
Mamma mia.
Contribue au développement d'Ultimate avec Ulti TV.
We are back at Bolamarshove, and this is not a halftime just yet. Benji, can you explain what happened?
Yeah, so there was a little bit of a miscommunication about the halftime cap, just about whether it was a 55-minute hard time cap or a 55-minute soft time cap. So they are going to finish out this half, which will be just half at 8 as we're used to. I think we were informed in the booth as well originally that it was a 50-minute hard soft time cap, half-time cap. So just miscommunication between the two sides, between each other and between us as well, as to what the half-time situation was.
In the meantime, the Czech O-line have lost the disc, and the New Zealand D-line is knocking on the doorstep. Cooper centers. Malin goes sideways. And a difficult grab, but the disc stays with New Zealand. I feel like we've been watching this situation for a really long time in this game already. Break side throw. Grab just about made by New Zealand, but a break side throw allows for another break for the Kiwis.
And that will make it 8-6, so the Kiwis pulling away a little bit now after they dug themselves into an early hole.
Sean Nicholson is just so dangerous with his lefty throws. You really need to make sure that you remind yourself that he's on the line just in case you will have to end up on D. And you really need to make sure that you take away the most dangerous options, just like that one that went into the end zone for the goal. So
that is halftime.
That is halftime. We can say that for sure now, as one of the teams have reached 8 points. So thank you for being patient with us and the players and the volunteers. We're doing our best here in Wrocław. We're streaming 5 games a day all week up until next Saturday, which will see the finals in some of the divisions played out here at the stadium of Bolamarshove. So as the teams go into their break, we will do the same one and leave you with some promos.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, Ulti TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
our
work
work
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
He's in a great spot. He's in a perfect spot. Yes, his massive head has blocked everything. That was a huge play, but we have seen none of it. Finny, he's done it.
Welcome back to the second half of action. New Zealand is taking on the Czech Republic at field number 1. We are providing streaming free all week. We are currently at the WFDF YouTube channel, which means that we're in the under 20 division. My name is Rachel Toshnerova and I'm joined by the lovely Benji Rees. Benji, what happened in that first half?
Czech Republic built a sizable early lead, but they've been slowly and surely pegged back by a New Zealand side that was sloppy at the start, but has grown in confidence, and now New Zealand lead 8-6 going into the second half, and they're going to be pulling to the Czechs here to start the game, to start this second half.
Katipo, the pronunciation we can't seem to get right on the stream. The venomous spider, the only venomous animal from New Zealand, is ready to strike again. This goes out of bounds. And the Czechs keep their setup as Crossen walks the disc to the brick mark. He'll be setting out in the handler space together with Zaluski and Staffel.
Nice attacking break to hit that soft side of the field early on. But that disc, he's lasered deep, and there's no chance that anyone's going to even get in the same vicinity.
That was such a nice start to break through the New Zealand zone, but that continuation cut was nowhere near that laser disc. But New Zealand really took off with those quick 2 breaks towards the end of half.
And you see, you know, they're stressing that mantra. You want to be aggressive, take this zone on, and you know, that time you need to understand that yes, you can do that, but there's a difference between being brave and being foolhardy.
So New Zealand respond with a huck of their own. Sean Nicholson for the score. This time Owen Ellington gets there on time. That's the first time for him to score in this game. Only playing for 2 years, but he got there fast.
The whole thing opened up by that scorching deep look that found its way into Sean Nicholson's arms, and then the pop off here. Just trying to get a look at who the thrower is there. Couldn't quite see, but it was an absolute monster of a huck. I mean, huge. Doesn't quite lead him all the way into the end zone, but it's not far off.
It was a bit downwind. I thought it might even be too fast for Nicholson, but no problem whatsoever, and he kept his composure to pop it right into the end zone, and New Zealand extend their lead 9-6 over the Czech Republic, who did really well in the first half and kept the game really tight. But now the Czech fans watching from home and from the sidelines will really have to do their prayers, tell their prayers, and make sure the comeback comes early.
Yeah, they've got to dig deep now, because they've really let this game slip away from them. Obviously, it's not too late. With time cap coming on in 100 minutes, we're only 3/4 of the way through the game time-wise. But it does feel like New Zealand have really got to grips with this now.
The one thing I would maybe like to see out of the Czech Republic is the O-line, in case they lose the disc, just to put up that zone that's been causing New Zealand so much trouble when they faced it in the form of the Czech D-line. Disc brought to the brick mark. One more deep shot. Luke Spur skies on the reception. And New Zealand, once more, they try to run it down, and they do. Braden Jones with another score for New Zealand. One put huck and another break, extending the lead by 4.
Bryn Douglas, that is an Exocet backhand. Just ripped this one, and again it looked like, oh, this might be too far. But that closing speed across the ground from Jones. Here's the replay. Spur sees Douglas. He's got the space to really step into this throw. and he weights it perfectly, knows his receiver, who can stride that down into the end zone. 10-6 New Zealand lead, and I wonder if the Czech Republic maybe got carried away perhaps with some of the speculative efforts that they brought down in the first half. Maybe a case of that hot hand fallacy where they're like, we're feeling good, let's keep going with it. Whereas actually they just need to, just come away from that game plan perhaps, because New Zealand have adjusted well.
I think it wasn't necessarily a bad look out of the Czechs. They saw New Zealand do it. They knew it was a downwind direction for that huck. So not a bad option, but the execution, again, we've seen some early mistakes from New Zealand. Now the Czechs are using theirs up, but also the sun is coming out. And I think that might have been the biggest enemy of this Czech under-20 team, open team, because they haven't been doing well so far during the hot and sunny days that we've had here at this tournament, but started off quite well once the clouds closed the sky. Nonetheless, 10-6, the current score in this New Zealand-Czech Republic matchup. The Kiwis against the, should I say, Lions. There is a little silhouette of the Czech lion on their chests, as well as on their shorts.
You can see it there in the picture, just about, I think. Again, still disappointing they're not wearing the red and blue hoops, but what can you do?
Are we even allowed to call it New Zealand Kiwis when their team animal is something else?
Is the katipo? I'm not sure actually. Sure, I mean, I guess
Katipo.
it's just like a generic term for New Zealanders, I guess. Actually, to be fair, I don't know if I've ever asked any New Zealanders if they actually like being called Kiwis. They might hate it.
You can let us know in the chat. We love the engagement. Thank you so much for being here with us. We have plenty of more streamed action coming your way this week. We're trying to get an even spread across the divisions as well as the nations. But here are Czechs. And for the first time, I think it will be Stropnicki who brings the disc into play. Kupeček just about gets the disc off to Ludvík. Seems like a fresh O-line for the Czechs. And a nice opening hammer.
And the Czechs come down with it, despite intense pressure.
Knocking on the doorstep is Žižka. He puts it up. No continuation just yet.
I think he went away to the backhand side too early. Could have stayed with the flick and the option was there. Still, they can't find their way in.
Kupeček's got the disc. And here's the jump in. No, still called not in. And a continuation for the up line. Czechs finally score to bring it within 3.
It can be so difficult when you think you've scored, but actually you realise that you're not in the end zone, to regain your focus and composure. And that happened to the Czechs a couple of times, but they do manage to work it in. And they stop this New Zealand run. That's still 3 down here.
Nice job by Czech coaching staff. Matěj Štětka and Martin Hřezník decide to put on a completely different offensive line that hasn't seen too much game time since the start of the game, and they get the job done.
One of the things I'm really enjoying about this tournament is the atmosphere here. You can hear that there's a real buzz around the complex here in Wrocław, Poland. And the sun's come out now as well, Rachel. It's a wonderful place to be.
Thank you for the feedback in the chat. Corin says there's nothing wrong with Kiwis as a name. We're still getting more feedback. I think New Zealand might be confused themselves about the pronunciation.
Katipo?
Katipo. Someone else was saying Katipo.
I think this is how much we're trying to elongate that A sound. Someone once told me, like with Maori words, you rather than combine the vowels, you try and pronounce them all.
Exactly. In any case, it's
But I
going to
don't know how
become
true that is.
I think it's going to become a running joke at this tournament. But if the New Zealand teams make it far enough, we will try to make sure we get it right for the bracket games. Here they are.
Yeah, New Zealand with a win here would basically come down to a winner makes that top power pool game against Italy later today.
That was a good scare out and a good heads up, almost D by Minatik. But there's Jones finding Lewis on the reset. Lewis calling for his teammates to come closer. Stevenson now. Daniel Nicholson through the break side to Milne. His girlfriend enjoying the stream in the YouTube chat.
Maybe a little bit of contact under that disc.
Jack Lewis guarded by Bohdal, but no, one more time the game will stop as it's unclear what the stall count will be, or else not all players manage to find their original position. Lewis to Sam Cooper. Also a highly valued hero in the YouTube chat. And here is an open pass right in front of the end zone. And once more, the quick lefty pass, this time from Daniel Nicholson. Are both Nicholson lefties? It looks like it. And that's a score and a clean hold for New Zealand.
I mean, that flick was ripped into Jones. Really not a huge window there. So just taking the option to rifle it in. And gets rewarded for it as well. New Zealand, yeah, after a slow, sluggish start, have really picked it back up. You see the very expressive fakes out of Sam Cooper. And yeah, Lewis to Nicholson. Doesn't have time necessarily to step out and get the form. It's a question of stand and deliver. And he puts it on the spot. I might even take my jumper off.
It is a bit of a confusing weather, especially for us in the commentary booth. The athletes, I think, have stayed warm all week, able to wear shorts. We've only seen the long pants making an appearance a couple of times on some specific people, but otherwise it's been nice and warm. It's just that with the wind, staying in the shade of the commentary tent / booth, it can get a little bit chilly.
So the other games in this pool, in the Pool B in the Under-20 Open Division, Canada beat Belgium 15-6 in this round of games, and Italy have closed out Poland 15-8. So if the score stays and holds here, then it will be New Zealand versus Italy to see who can make the top power pool later today.
And it seems like the slightly updated Czech O-line will get one more chance. Oh, and this disc ends up flying over a pile of 3 players. 2 out of them are Czech. But it is New Zealand who will keep possession. And an injury on the field. There is Patrik Stropnicki on the ground. It looked like he might have gotten stepped on. No, absolutely no contact there. I think he just rolled his ankle as he was trying to react to that in cut.
Yeah, the turf monster just got him there. And
from Stevenson.
Yeah, hobbling a little bit off the field, but always good to see that he's, making it off under his own power, and hopefully it's, as you mentioned, just rolled it slightly and it's nothing too severe.
Stropnicki coming out of Bisek, the club and the town in southern Bohemia.
So forgive my Czech geography because it's pretty shoddy, to be honest. But you've you've got Bohemia in the west and Moravia in the east.
That is right, and we also have Silesia, which is actually the same region as Wrocław, because this not the municipality, the voivodeship, I believe, is the term in Poland, is Lower Silesia for Wrocław.
Interesting. So that's kind of the northwest of the Czech Republic?
Northeast.
No. Okay, right, yeah. yeah. I'm just piecing it all together.
So New Zealand with another chance to break and bring them within 3 of the hard cap point. This is a deep disc, but securely collected. Stevenson with acres of space to tow the disc in at the back of the New Zealand, of the Czech, and just the end zone.
Yeah, Stevenson, you see that he's got that slightly cumbersome knee support on his left knee, so you wonder, does he have that speed across the ground? But certainly he does. You can see it there turning on the jets, and I like that he has the presence of mind. He looks down a little bit here to make sure that he's going to be in the end zone, and he just, you can see, accentuate that pickup of the feet to make sure that he's towing the line at the back of the end zone.
Loving Jones giving him a round of applause immediately after that score. And the Czechs with a difficult place to be in. They have worked so hard in that first half trying to make this game a tight one, hoping for the first victory at this tournament. But 12-7 is a sort of a deep hole to dig yourself out of.
Yeah, looking at the form book coming into this game, New Zealand was certainly favourites. But for a long time there, it looked like the Czech Republic might pull the upset. Now, not so much.
So the more regular Czech O-line raising their hands, signaling the preparedness to receive the pull. Minatik. Oh, sorry, that is Zaluski. Lovely centering pass to Hlubotsky. He thinks about the deep shot. He loves them. But goes backwards to Crossen. Zaluski has it again. He's got streaking receiver, 2 New Zealand defenders. And Staffel can't climb the ladder in the end zone. That is unfortunate for the Czechs.
Really smart heads up help defense there from the Czechs, just recognizing that that throw was likely to go. And you can see the 2 of them there. They just sandwiched Staffel out of it.
From New Zealand, yeah. Here is another chance for a break for New Zealand. Hayes.
He's wide open. What a cut.
We're starting to feel the fear of the Czechs, of getting scored on.
Yes, you can see they're overcommitting maybe deep a little bit. New Zealand is sitting their stack downfield quite far away, so they can open up a lot of space for the undercuts. And also give their handlers space to slash up line.
Douglas. Oh, and here is a great interception, but a call. Foul uncontested, potentially on the throw.
Yeah. It is going to be an accepted foul there. Just trying to see who the marker is, getting their hand caught in the cookie jar on the mark. I think that's Minarczyk.
Way to get your practice in, but a wobble on the throw. That was a little behind Caleb Milne.
Yeah, it's a catch that Milne maybe could have made, but Collins certainly didn't make his life easy.
Second chance for the Czechs. Minatik gets the deep shot open. Huge signed arm. Hlubotsky with the score for Czechs. I apologize if I'm getting too loud celebrating the Czech points. Of course, I equally wish for the victory of the Kiwis.
Do you, though?
The thing is, I try to think about it in this way. All these junior players have worked so hard to get here. For some of them, a national team is the only opportunity to enter the big stage. Some of them play for smaller clubs or even just high school clubs, not able to enter the adult competition just yet. And so this is a huge deal for every single one of these kids. So despite being emotional about the Czech teams doing well, I understand that the same stories that I know about on the Czech side can be told about all the other teams as well.
Yeah, it's just that obviously it's difficult to take yourself out of it sometimes.
We try our best here in the commentary booth. Love to hear your feedback, be it positive or negative. Make sure the negative one includes a suggestion on how to improve.
Yeah.
Or else you can start your commentating career just like one of our colleagues, Christina, did. You might have heard her on one of the other games by not liking what she heard on the stream and then just getting involved herself.
Generally, it's how most of us start, listening to games and thinking, I could do better than that, and then trying to find a way to get your way in.
And the way is very easy for you. Just make sure to contact the Alti TV crew. Get in touch with us over our social media channels. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram at alti.tv. We will get in touch with you as well, and we can figure out a deal. Czechs setting up once more in their zony look.
Yeah, New Zealand looking kind of confident now, so a lot of the New Zealand contingent that helped push this game onto the live stream in our Patreon vote, patreon.com/AltiTV, by the way, may feel they've had their faith repaid.
Good look from Hayes. Now going backward to Swenson. Swenson, the central handler for this New Zealand O-line. He's currently working with Walker and Douglas. Like I said, this has been the best look for the Czechs defensively so far. Unfortunately, their O-line, once broken, never had a chance to set it up.
This is a lot like the New Zealand we saw in the first half, where they've been calm and composed against the zone, but again, maybe haven't dissected it enough. In the first half, after a while, they just kind of lost shape or got impatient. In the second half, they've been a lot more fluid with it, but this feels slightly more stately.
Once more, almost a block from Vocilka as he gets high on the mark. And New Zealand slowly approaching the second half of the field. Here's a hanging hammer. It finds Ellington in the middle.
I like that one, just popping it over the top. Not a huge arcing shot, but just trying to find a way to access that little soft spot in the zone.
We've been talking about Swenson and Douglas doing a good job recognizing the opportunities downfield and utilizing them when given to them. Here's Nicholson of the Sean variety. In the middle now for some give and go was Lawson.
Yeah, they zipped it around quickly to the far side.
Douglas, big disc for Swenson, he collects.
Nice little bit of swag on that catch, I think.
Walker pops it back to him on this near sideline. And a wobble on the catch. Bohdal picks up immediately, and he'll be looking to put it up. He does. It's hanging. Will it stay out of bounds? Is anyone going to read that? Oh! The defender, Walker, almost put it in the arms of Hubac. But here is New Zealand responding with a throw of their own. Nicholson is underneath. Two more defenders smack to the ground. A little bit of under 20 open action coming your way.
Maybe some monkey see, monkey do. You put it deep, and then, oh, actually, that looks quite fun. We might give that a go as well.
Honestly, it is just fun to watch. Big puts, big plays. Some of them work out, some of them don't.
It's just such a stark contrast from New Zealand's previous possession, where they worked it so calmly down the field. And this one is just about going to hit the turf.
Another huge bid. This time Vocilka putting his body on the ground. And a timeout called by Swinson.
Yeah, I get that. Everything, they've kind of lost their shape and their rhythm. So, chance to regain composure here with a 2-minute break on the timeout.
And as we take some time to read through your comments on YouTube, thank you for watching and stay tuned for some action after this timeout.
Right now, it's gonna have to bid. Oh, just a
Football!
Huge layout block. Unbelievable stuff on the front corner of the end zone.
Maybe just that boost of energy they needed.
Huge swing pass and a great grab there from Spear.
Back out of the timeout is this New Zealand versus Czech Republic under-20 open game. New Zealand started this point on 0 some time ago, but managed to lose the disc twice to the Czechs. And they're not letting their third attempt end the same way as they take a timeout to recollect themselves.
Yeah, the wind has picked up significantly here.
It is blowing strongly into our faces, meaning the direction towards the camera. And let's see if the zony look from Czechs will bear its fruits.
I mean, given that the wind has picked up, yeah, I totally get why the Czechs have come out this way. Also, might help prevent any set plays that New Zealand might have drawn up.
It's definitely forcing them backwards once more. But Swinson, now sporting the backward cap, will work with Walker and Douglas. Now that's a nice put from Douglas, and a good read and good grab by Hayes. So we see 3 people in the front for Czechs, with a poach in the open side, and then sort of further away wings and 2 deep defenders. Hence allowing always a mismatch in the handler space, where the players just keep getting the disc over and over.
So according to our timer, the 100 minutes has gone. So we'll finish the point, add 1 to the highest score, and use that as cap as New Zealand finally break through the front line of the zone.
Lawson centers to Hayes. Walker goes to the sideline, tries to clear for Swinson. Czechs sticking with the zone. The Kiwis once more forced backwards. A bump on the throw. Hayes goes to Lawson. We hear the use your handler advice from the sideline. Swinson – just shy of the end zone. And here's the last pop into the end zone for the score. New Zealand, third time the charm. They break through the Czech zone and score.
13-8, that makes it. And the two players leading up for that score, two players with sisters on the New Zealand under-20 women's side. It's Swinson finding Lawson. See it again here on the replay. This really opened it up. Beautiful little inside shot as Walker uncracks things there with that throw to Swinson, and then a simple pop in to Ty Lawson for the goal. That makes it 13-8. Double check the cap.
And as Benji leaves the commentary booth to double check the cap situation, we've had a bit of a mix-up during the halftime cap. And we don't want to stress you out once more. We know how important this game is for both these sides. We see the New Zealand defense, I believe, slightly reinforced by some of their O-line players.
I was just getting confirmation from the volunteer scorekeepers that it is indeed game to 14.
So like I said, reinforced New Zealand D-line will try to close this game early. Petričák. Zaluski to Crossan. Good handler movement, just like we've seen on the other side. Staffel is thrown in the mix. Hlubotski now. Navigating traffic. Now they move forward. Hlubotski! That was a ghost D, but the disc lands on the ground. No chance for Minatik to catch it. Or maybe he did get a hand on it.
There might have been one and then two New Zealand hands on it. Either way, just falls agonisingly for the Czechs in between two players.
New Zealand could be taking the game here. Josh Cooper centering. Hlubotski throws himself on the ground. Collins with a big gainer for Hayes.
Yeah, Hlubotski there really committed to the bid, and as a result, it left space for that break side throw.
Collins just in front of the end zone. Can Hlubotski protect the break side? He can for now, but here's the continuation. Good pressure from behind by Crossan, but New Zealand take the game 14-8 over the Czechs. What a game it has been. We went over the 100-minute mark. We saw all the highlights, all the deep shots, big skies, a great spirit, bit of halftime confusion as well. We've had it all. You saw it. You witnessed it. Thank you so much for tuning in the chat. Bohde. See the replay of that big bid by Hlubotski in the last point. He makes up the ground on that upline cut from Collins, but the quick dump and swing works out perfectly for New Zealand, and here they are lining up to clap their hands with their Czech opponents.
Yeah, they were 5-2 up at one point, but the game really flipped at that point, and New Zealand put up 12 points from then on to only 3 for the Czechs to finish this game 14-8. Congratulations to New Zealand.
So if you've enjoyed our coverage, there's plenty more to come your way. We have 3 more time slots today to be played out. Upcoming is the U17 Women's Division. Italy takes on Sweden, continued by
Under-20 mixed, Sweden versus Slovakia, and then we have an under-20 women's game to end the day. That's to be determined based on how the schedule pans out. All of the under-17 games you can find on Alti TV's YouTube channel. Well, for the under-20 action, keep it here on the WFDF YouTube channel.
My name was Rachel Toshnerova, and I was joined by Benjamin Rees here in the commentary booth. Thank you so much for watching one more time, and for now, we are checking out.
Right now, he's going to have to bid. Oh, just a football!
Huge layout block. Unbelievable stuff on the front corner of the end zone.
Maybe just that boost of energy they needed.
Huge swing pass and a great grab there from Spear.
Alti.tv.